Hey folks, welcome back to the Golf Narrative Release podcast. Been on a little bit of a break. We'll call this summertime, but as we roll into fall, got a little bit more time. So let's get back into podcasting. Let's get back and get you playing some better golf. Today's topic, I'm just talking about one thing, and it's one thing that I want all of you to do with the remainder of your season. Now, for a lot of players, once Labor Day happens, kids go back to school. If you're in Canada, I know it's a little bit earlier if you're in the U.S. But once summer starts to slow down, kids start to go back to school, life gets busy, kids' sports, kind of all those things pick up. And as a result, for a lot of us, the amount of golf we get to play goes in the decline. And for a lot of players, it's like once they start to get into September, especially mid-late September, it's almost as if like their care factor starts to go down a little bit to where if they haven't played any good golf by now, they're saying, oh, whatever, it's not going to happen this year. I'm here to stop you in your tracks because I don't care if you've had a fantastic year or not. I don't care if you're upset with the way you've played this year. There's one change that I want you to make for the rest of this season. And it is, I want you to get better at hitting your next shot. And what I mean by that is stop letting the previous shot that you just hit affect the next one. This has been a common theme that I've seen throughout all of my players this year, but the reason why I'm telling you the story is I recently got to spend the day with Padraig Harrington. The guy's a super speed at a content suit with Padraig, and I was there, and it was interesting. We were just conversing at lunch back and forth and about a wide range of things. We got on the topic of amateur golfers because Padraig is on a mission himself to help players shoot lower scores. He has a fantastic YouTube channel which helps with that. And the one thing that he had said, which really stuck with me, is that amateurs have to do a better job hitting their next golf shot. And as I've had a little bit of time to think about that, I've looked at my own game, I've looked at my players, and recently I was on course with one of my students, and they had a good round going, and you could tell as they were getting later and later into that good round, they were starting to think about the things that were going on around them. And he started to make a few loose swings, started to make a few unfocused decisions, and he didn't have the best finish that he could have had. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast episode. If you're enjoying it, I have a favor to ask. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever it is, please make sure you subscribe. And also, if you could, just leave me a quick rating. The more ratings I get, the more people see this podcast. The more people see this podcast, the more motivated to put out more content just like this. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you could, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit that bell to get notifications when I drop more episodes. If you could like it, that'd be great. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. I try to respond to every single one. Thanks again for your support. Now let's get you back to your podcast episode. This is also the other way, which is the classic player that gets off to a bad start. And instead of it only being 1 or 2 holes, it drags on for sometimes like 9 holes, sometimes the whole damn round, where they feel like they cannot get out of their own way. So one thing I want all of you to do is let's commit to getting better at hitting our next shot. What's done is done. The shot that we have hit is done. There's nothing that we can do about it now. We cannot go back and change the result. So we have to make sure that our next shot gets our undivided attention. Now, what I'm going to leave you with is something that I do. So essentially, here's the tip on how I go through this. So I have a pre-shot routine that I'm fairly consistent with. It's one that I've been doing for a very long time that I'm very comfortable with. And I make a practice swing, I go stand behind the ball, and I pick my target. And the thing that I tell myself is that once I leave behind the ball, like standing behind the golf ball, go approach a shot, once I leave that spot, the only thing that has my attention for the next 15 seconds is the golf shot that I'm about to hit. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about my phone. I'm not thinking about any of those things going on. It's hard for a lot of us to clear our minds, right? We all have a lot of different things going on. But one thing that I have found is that I can make my pre-shot routine. I go stand behind that golf ball after I make my rehearsal swing. And then once I put that shaft up, like I go Justin Rose style, once I put that shaft up and I zone in on my target, I walk away, tell myself for the next 15 seconds, the only thing that matters is a shot in front of me. And that's how I'm going about trying to make sure that my next shot is better. That's the takeaway that I want you to have for this week. It's the month of September, and honestly, even if you're reading this or watching this or listening to this in the month of January or whenever it is, let's make sure that your next shot is better than your last. Start to make that transition in your mindset. It could be a little bit of routine work, but could also just be maybe hopefully for you the realization that the shot that you just hit, we cannot go back and hit it again. It doesn't matter if you've hit it 310 yards right down the fairway or 200 yards slice 55 yards offline. You've got to go find it. You've got to make the best decision that you can from there. And let's make sure that you get better at hitting your next shot. That's it. Welcome back to the podcast. Short episode, a little bit of a mindset shift. Season's not over yet. We've got some more good ones coming. Thanks for watching or listening or whatever you do. See you next week. Hey, here's a little secret. On every Thursday, I send an email with 2 things. My favorite golf tip of that week, and either a quote or stat or sometimes even a game that you can use when you practice. I don't want you to miss it. The next one's coming on Thursday morning. Make sure you check the link in the description. Sign up for my newsletter because on Thursday, the next one's coming. Now let's get you back to your video.